There are places on this planet where time itself seems to hesitate, where the air carries the scent of ancient rain and the world feels like it's holding its breath. In those quiet corners, beneath the veil of dust and light, life whispers in languages older than memory. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it, the faint sigh of water meeting earth, the slow turning of ages that never truly end. Long before the first tree reached toward the sky, long before the first feather brushed against the wind, the world was ruled by silence. The seas were shallow, the air was thick, and the land still trembled with the pulse of its own creation. In that hush, something small began to move. Something that would outlast empires and glaciers, mountains and monsters. The tadpole shrimp. A creature so ancient that its ancestors watched continents drift apart and come together again. So persistent that it has endured for over 220 million years, surviving fire, ice, and the end of worlds. It has outlived the giants of the deep and the lords of the land, carrying within its fragile body a secret older than the stars that shine upon it tonight. To find it, we must travel back, farther than history remembers, past the reign of reptiles, past the first forests, past even the moment when life first learned to breathe air. Imagine the Earth in her earliest days of recovery, after the great dying of the Permian, when 9 out of every 10 creatures vanished and the surface of the planet lay barren and broken. The Triassic dawn begins with trembling light. The skies are copper and crimson, streaked with ash. Rivers cut through blackened rock, carving new paths through the wounded crust. Rain falls for the first time in ages, and the earth drinks deeply, forming shallow basins and mirrored pools. These are not yet the oceans we know, but temporary lakes, fragile sanctuaries for the beginnings of new life. In one of those lakes, beneath a pale, unfamiliar moon, the tadpole shrimp stirs. The water is cloudy with dust and minerals, glowing faintly in the early sunlight. Within this floating haze, the shrimp glides upside down, its many legs beating in perfect rhythm, stirring the soft sediment at the bottom. From above, its shell gleams like burnished bronze, a tiny shield against time itself. Beneath that carapace, fine limbs sweep food from the water, filter the unseen particles of ancient algae, and keep the rhythm of life alive. It is both delicate and strong, a design so simple that evolution never needed to alter it. In this creature's body lies the blueprint of endurance. The tadpole shrimp knows that its world will not last. The lakes that cradle it are shallow and fleeting. The sun above is harsh, and the earth around it is thirsty. But this being does not rush, does not fear, does not fight against what is inevitable. When the season turns dry and the water begins to fade, the tadpole shrimp buries its future deep in the mud. It lays its eggs quietly, each one a capsule of life waiting for the return of rain. The water disappears. The lake cracks open. The surface becomes a desert of dust and silence. Yet beneath it, hidden in the dark, the eggs endure. They do not decay. They do not die. They sleep, patient and timeless, as centuries drift by above them. Mountains rise. Rivers shift. The sky itself changes color. But the tadpole shrimp waits, unaware of the measure of years. Then, one distant day, clouds gather again. Thunder murmurs beyond the horizon, and the scent of wet earth returns to the wind. The first drop of rain strikes the ground. It seeps into the dust, reaching downward, finding what has been waiting all this time. The eggs awaken. From the ancient soil, life stirs once more. The tadpole shrimp is reborn, identical to its ancestor, unbroken by time. In that moment, the past and the present become one continuous breath. We humans often imagine evolution as progress, as a ladder reaching ever upward, but the tadpole shrimp tells another story. It is not the tale of advancement, but of harmony, of finding the perfect rhythm with the world and never leaving it. For 200 million years, this small creature has refused to rush forward. It has remained what it was always meant to be. And perhaps that is why it has survived. The dinosaurs ruled and vanished. The seas changed their shapes. The ice came and melted. But in the quiet shallows, the tadpole shrimp continued to glide, upside down and unbothered, in tune with the slow heartbeat of the planet. To watch one today is to gaze directly into the past. You might find it after a rainstorm, swimming in a puddle that will soon be gone, its translucent body stirring the mud. You might think it is new, fragile, born of a momentary world. But in truth, it is older than the mountains that shadow it, older than the trees that line the field, older than the very continents beneath your feet. It carries the memory of primordial rain within its cells. When you look into its unblinking eyes, you are looking into the memory of creation itself. And so, the whisper of the primordial waters continues. The tadpole shrimp glides beneath the surface, the light catching on its shell, scattering reflections across the ancient lake. Each ripple it creates stretches outward, touching shores that no longer exist. There is no beginning or end to its story. Only the endless rhythm of emergence, life, rest, and rebirth. It swims in silence, yet it speaks in a language of patience, of stillness, of eternity. It reminds us that survival does not always mean strength. Sometimes it means listening to the world and moving with it. Sometimes it means knowing when to wait. The same water that cradled the tadpole shrimp in the Triassic still flows through the veins of every living thing today. The same elements that shimmered in those ancient ponds drift in our oceans, our clouds, and our blood. We are not separate from this story. We are its continuation. The tadpole shrimp has seen the world burn, freeze, and begin again, countless times. Yet through it all, it has endured, quietly, humbly, without seeking change or glory. It has outlasted extinction itself. And tonight, as you listen to the gentle murmur of imagined water, you can almost hear it breathing beneath the surface of time. Somewhere, in a forgotten basin or a silent desert, a sleeping egg lies buried in the soil. It does not dream of tomorrow. It does not fear the darkness. It only waits for rain. When the heavens open and the first drop falls, it will awaken, just as it did hundreds of millions of years ago. The lake will shimmer once more, alive with movement, and the tadpole shrimp will rise from the mud like a ghost of the world that was. In that brief shimmer of life, the past will live again, and the ancient cycle will continue, calm and unbroken. The tadpole shrimp does not know that it is ancient. It does not know that it carries the memory of the earth. But in its simple, endless existence, it holds the wisdom of all that endures, that life persists not through conquest, but through patience, that even the smallest creatures can hold the greatest secrets, and that time, like water, always returns. The world is still young. The air trembles with warmth, and the ground exhales steam where ancient rivers carve their way across the newborn continents. After ages of silence, the planet breathes again. The scars of the great extinction begin to fade, and the first true calm after catastrophe settles over the land. It is the Triassic dawn, the slow awakening of a wounded Earth. The sky glows a dull amber, streaked with volcanic haze. Mountains are still rising. Oceans are still shaping their boundaries. Across the cracked face of Pangaea, the supercontinent, shallow depressions fill with rain. Lakes are born in the footprints of storms. They shimmer briefly in the red light, fragile and temporary, yet full of promise. These are the first shallow seas, the tender cradles of reborn life. Within them, the water is warm and thick with minerals. Each droplet carries the memory of stone and fire. The rainwater seeps through volcanic soil, gathering traces of iron and salt, turning the surface a faint bronze. Clouds of dust hang above the plains, and when they settle, they seed the ponds with nutrients. Algae bloom in slow spirals of green and gold, painting soft patterns on the still water. Tiny creatures drift there, some no larger than a grain of sand, protozoa, cyanobacteria, and filament strands of early plants. They move in delicate, chaotic swirls, the choreography of rebirth after ruin. The tadpole shrimp enters this new world without hesitation. For millions of years before this moment, its ancestors endured in hidden corners, sleeping beneath the dust. Now the rains have come again, and so they rise. The lakes stretch like mirrors between the distant mountains, each one a reflection of the young sky. They are shallow, never more than a few hands deep, but their shallowness is their strength. They warm quickly in the sun, and with warmth comes life. Here, survival does not depend on depth or permanence, but on rhythm, the rhythm of wet and dry, of arrival and disappearance. The tadpole shrimp has mastered this dance. It glides through the silty water, its translucent limbs shimmering in the light. Beneath the surface, the world is quiet except for the whisper of movement. Every stroke of its legs stirs the sediment below, releasing nutrients, keeping the lake alive. It is both inhabitant and caretaker of its world. Around the edges of these ephemeral seas, strange plants cling to the mud. Their roots are thin and pale, tasting the wetness before the inevitable drought. Reptiles bask on the shore, their scales glinting like stones. Some will grow into the first dinosaurs, others will vanish into the fossil silence of forgotten lineages. But the tadpole shrimp has already found its perfect niche. While giants rise and fall, it remains close to the ground, close to the mud, close to the pulse of the planet itself. When the sun sinks behind the molten hills, the water cools and the lake becomes a mirror of fire and shadow. Beneath that reflection, the tadpole shrimp continues its slow motion, upside down and content. It feeds on what drifts, on what settles, on what the wind has carried from far-off lands. Each particle, each speck of dust, is the residue of time. Its simple body is tuned to this fragile ecosystem, neither demanding nor wasteful. It knows that nothing here is permanent, not even the water that sustains it. But permanence is not its concern. The tadpole shrimp lives for the moment that exists, and prepares for the one that will follow. Weeks pass. The heat deepens. The edges of the lake pull inward. Cracks appear in the mud, first small, then wide. The water grows shallow enough for sunlight to touch the bottom. In that brilliance, the shrimp lay their eggs once more, scattering them gently into the soft clay. Each egg is a vessel of hope, a promise made to a future not yet written. As the last of the moisture disappears, the creatures bury themselves, some to die, others to sleep, their fragile shells protecting the next generation. The shallow seas retreat into the earth, leaving behind nothing but a faint trace of salt and the whisper of wings from passing reptiles. Yet the earth remembers. These transient lakes may vanish, but their rhythm continues. New rains will fall in new places. New basins will open, filled by rivers that have never existed before. The tadpole shrimp's journey will continue wherever water dares to linger. The shallows are its home, not in geography but in spirit. Wherever the earth sighs and fills her wounds with rain, it will awaken. It is the witness of the planet's recovery, the heartbeat of renewal after desolation. Through the centuries that follow, the continents drift and twist, the air grows gentler, and the shallow seas multiply. Some last only a season. Others linger for centuries. In each of them, the same ancient form reappears, unaltered, ageless, swimming in water that has just been born from the sky. These fleeting lakes become the silent threads connecting all eras of life. They are the earth's pauses, her soft exhalations between ages. And in each pause, the tadpole shrimp glides again, carrying the unbroken story of endurance. When we imagine the early world, we often think of chaos, of roaring volcanoes and violent storms, but there was also serenity. Between the tempests, in the calm after the rain, there were moments of stillness so profound that time seemed to stop. It was in those moments that the shallow seas were born, and with them, the quiet persistence of life. The tadpole shrimp was not a creature of violence or grandeur, but of balance. It did not conquer its world, it harmonized with it. It taught the planet that fragility could be strength, that impermanence could be a kind of immortality. The ancient lakes have long since dried. Their beds have turned to stone, their shorelines etched into the memory of mountains. Yet the pattern continues, repeating wherever water touches earth. Even now, When rain pools in a forgotten field or a hollowed rock, the same rhythm awakens. Life returns, not as something new, but as something remembered. The tadpole shrimp, the small survivor of the Triassic dawn, still carries the voice of those first shallow seas. And if you listen closely, in the gentle lapping of water against the shore, you may still hear the echo of that beginning, the whisper of the earth learning once more to live. The dawn rises softly over the ancient plains, pale light spreading across the mist that clings to the sleeping water. The shallow lakes of the Triassic glimmer faintly, each one a quiet world unto itself. Beneath their calm surfaces, life stirs in slow motion, carrying on a rhythm that began before mountains took their shapes. The tadpole shrimp glides there, small and humble, yet perfect in its design. Its form has not changed for over 200 million years because it has never needed to. It is the quiet architect of its own survival, a blueprint of endurance drawn by time itself. Its body, though delicate, is a masterpiece of purpose. A smooth, shield-like carapace curves gently over its back, protecting it from the shifting silt and the touch of predators. Beneath that shell, dozens of legs move in harmony, like 1,000 whispers stirring the water. Each limb has its role: to breathe, to feed, to swim, to clean, to sustain. There is no wasted motion, no excess. Its body is a lesson in efficiency, in living only as much as one must. The tadpole shrimp's heart beats with simplicity, its rhythm matching the gentle pulse of the lake itself. Even its eyes, small and ancient, fixed upon the murky light, are built not for beauty, but for persistence. When the tadpole shrimp moves, it does not rush. It floats upside down, a slow, graceful traveler beneath the mirror of the surface. Its limbs sweep through the water, filtering the fine grains of life that drift invisibly around it. Bits of algae, fragments of detritus, the remnants of decay, all are gathered and turned into nourishment. It feeds on what the world forgets. It recycles death into life, silence into motion. In its quiet way, it keeps the ancient waters breathing. The tadpole shrimp is not a conqueror of its world, it is its caretaker. Through its stillness, the lake remains alive. There is a strange kind of intelligence in its simplicity. It does not think as we do, but its body knows truths that our minds often forget. It knows that strength is not in size, but in adaptation. It knows that beauty can live in stillness. It knows that to endure, one must listen to the world, not fight against it. The tadpole shrimp has listened longer than any creature alive today. It has listened through the crack of continents, the burning of skies, the freezing of oceans. And because it listened, it survived. The world around it has changed countless times. The shapes of the continents have drifted like clouds. New creatures have risen and vanished. But the tadpole shrimp endures, untouched by the chaos. Its secret lies not in transformation, but in balance. It is both ancient and modern, fragile yet immortal. It moves through its temporary home, a puddle that may last a week, a pond that may last a season, as though each moment were eternal. It lives, it feeds, it lays its eggs, and it waits. Then the world dries, and it disappears, leaving only silence and the buried promise of return. When scientists look upon its form today, they call it a living fossil. They marvel at its unchanged shape, at its endurance across epochs. But to the tadpole shrimp, there is no past or future, only the now. Its perfection was found early, and time itself chose not to alter it. Its shell, its limbs, its fragile grace, all remain as they were when dinosaurs were no more than shadows of possibility. Its body is an ancient memory made flesh, a living echo of Earth's first calm after chaos. In the language of evolution, the tadpole shrimp is a master of minimalism. It has stripped life down to its essentials and made peace with them. It does not waste energy on armor it does not need, or on weapons it will never use. It has no claws to fight with, no spines to threaten, no venom to defend. Its only weapon is patience. Its only strategy is to exist in harmony with impermanence. When the water comes, it lives. When the water leaves, it sleeps. It never resists, and so it never breaks. There is a quiet wisdom in that surrender, the kind that even mountains might envy. We, the watchers of this ancient world, often measure success by growth, by domination, by the noise of progress. But here, beneath the still surface of an ancient lake, the tadpole shrimp teaches a different truth, that life does not always need to conquer to endure. Sometimes, to last forever, one must simply remain small enough to pass beneath the notice of time. Its eggs, no larger than specks of dust, carry this truth across generations. Each one is a miracle of endurance, sealed against heat, drought, and the passage of years. Some may rest in the soil for decades, waiting for a single rainfall to call them back. When the water touches them, they awaken, not as descendants, but as continuations of the same life that began when the continents were one. It is not rebirth, it is continuity, pure and unbroken. Perhaps that is why the tadpole shrimp's form is so hauntingly familiar. In its eyes, we see the reflection of our own origins. In its patience, we glimpse the heart of time itself. It is as though the universe carved into this small creature a reminder of what life once was, and what it still is, beneath all the layers of change. In every beat of its tiny heart, in every ripple it creates, there is a whisper that says, "Nothing truly ends, and nothing truly begins." All things flow, as water does, returning always to where they came from. As the sun climbs higher and the lakes begin to shimmer with heat, the tadpole shrimp drifts toward the shadows, seeking the cooler depths. Its body glows faintly in the refracted light, a ghost of the Triassic gliding through the present. Around it, tiny worlds unfold, colonies of bacteria, strands of algae, clouds of sediment rising and falling like underwater weather. It is a realm without sound, where time moves at the pace of water and light. Here, the tadpole shrimp reigns not as a ruler, but as a witness. Its existence is not loud, not grand, but it is infinite in its quietness. When evening returns, and the air cools once more, the tadpole shrimp continues its gentle ballet beneath the moon. The surface of the lake mirrors the stars, and beneath that reflection, the creature glides upside down, tracing invisible constellations in the sand. Its movement is the same now as it was 200 million years ago. Deliberate, patient, serene. It does not know that it is ancient. It does not need to. It is simply alive, perfectly adapted, perfectly itself. And so, in the architecture of its small, enduring body, the tadpole shrimp holds the secret to survival that the rest of life still strives to learn. That to last through ages, one must build not for change, but for peace. Its form is not a prison of the past, but a harmony so complete that time itself dared not alter it. In the tadpole shrimp, nature found a design beyond improvement, a living monument to balance, simplicity, and patience. The architects of survival are not those who fight the hardest, but those who learn how to live gently in the flow of existence. The tadpole shrimp, tiny and ancient, has already mastered that art. Night descends softly upon the primordial lakes. The winds hush, the air stills, and the moon rises, vast and ancient, casting silver light across the rippling water. Its reflection trembles like memory upon the surface, and beneath it, life stirs again. The tadpole shrimp drifts in that pale glow, its translucent body moving like a thought through liquid time. It has no words, no music, yet its every motion is a dance, a slow and sacred rhythm passed down from the first whispers of creation. The moon that shines above is not the same as ours, though it appears so. In those ancient nights, it was closer to Earth, larger in the sky, its light brighter, its pull stronger. The tides it drew were wilder, deeper, and their rhythm shaped the breath of the lakes below. Each rise and fall of the water was a pulse in the great heart of the planet, and the tadpole shrimp moved with it, never resisting, always yielding. When the moon called, the waters rose, and with them, the shrimp would drift to new feeding grounds. When the moon withdrew, and the lakes fell back, they would settle into the stillness, waiting for the next call. Their existence was a dance, a surrender to lunar rhythm, a silent communion with the sky. Under that silver light, the shallow lakes shimmered with unseen life. The night was alive not with sound, but with motion, invisible ripples of creatures gliding through the warmth of ancient waters. There were no birds yet to sing, no frogs to croak. The only voices were the whispers of water against silt and the faint stirring of limbs beneath the surface. And in that quiet world, the tadpole shrimp performed its nightly ritual. Drifting upside down, its legs moving in slow waves, stirring the sediment below. With each graceful motion, it lifted particles of life, algae, organic fragments, tiny forms of unseen creatures, and wove them into the eternal cycle of nourishment. The moonlight touched the carapace of the tadpole shrimp, and it gleamed like polished bronze. Shadows rippled beneath it as if the lake itself were breathing. Around it, colonies of ancient microbes shimmered faintly, forming ghostly patterns like stars beneath the surface. To the quiet observer, this was not chaos but choreography, a vast, slow dance that the tadpole shrimp had known since the world was young. Each movement carried the wisdom of uncounted generations, each flick of its limbs perfectly timed to the unseen rhythm of the earth. Above the waters, the air was heavy with the scent of minerals and the warmth of a cooling day. There were no leaves to rustle, no wings to flutter, only the low hum of creation itself. And yet, in that silence, something profound stirred, the first awareness of harmony. The tadpole shrimp's existence, simple as it seemed, mirrored the rhythm of the cosmos. It followed the same laws that guided the stars, cycles of rise and fall, birth and decay, light and darkness. It did not struggle against them, it became them. The dance beneath ancient moons was not a performance but a way of being. When the moonlight waned, and the world was cast into deeper shadow, the tadpole shrimp continued its patient motion, guided not by sight but by instinct older than time. It needed no eyes to see the path. Its body knew the way. It moved in spirals, tracing invisible circles through the dark water, a choreography written into its very bones. It was as though the moon and the lake spoke to one another through it, their conversation written in ripples and reflections. The eggs of the tadpole shrimp, scattered in the silt below, rested beneath this celestial glow. Each one was a silent listener to the dance above, tiny, motionless, yet alive with the promise of movement. The moon's pull touched even them, subtle and unseen, like a whisper in the soil. Someday, when the rains returned, when light and warmth and water aligned, they would awaken. And when they did, they too would rise into the same rhythm, continuing a dance that had never truly stopped. As the night deepened, shadows stretched across the water. Predators drifted in the dark, ancient insects, early crustaceans, unseen shapes with the hunger of new worlds. Yet the tadpole shrimp remained untouched, for its movements were not those of prey or predator, but of something outside that cycle. It moved too gently to provoke, too calmly to draw attention. In stillness, it found safety. Its shield reflected the moonlight, a small mirror drifting through the primordial dark. If one could have watched the earth from afar in that age, one would have seen countless silver pools glimmering beneath the moon, each one alive with the same quiet ballet. From the deserts of Pangaea to the shallow basins that would become new continents, the tadpole shrimp danced on. It did not know it was ancient. It did not know it was eternal. It simply existed in rhythm with the world that bore it. And perhaps that is why it has endured when so many greater creatures vanished. The dinosaurs would come and go. The seas would rise and fall. The very continents would drift apart, tearing mountains and oceans in their wake. But the tadpole shrimp would remain, performing the same slow dance beneath every moon that followed. Its body, unchanged, is a record of that persistence, a memory of a time when the world was young and life was still learning the music of survival. Tonight, as we look upon the small pools and ephemeral ponds that form after the rains, we can still see it, this ancient dancer of the water. Beneath our modern moon, it moves in the same pattern it once did under the alien sky of the Triassic. Its limbs stir the silt, its shell glints like a fossil of light, and in its motion, we glimpse eternity. It does not know us, nor does it need to. Its story is not one of evolution's triumphs or nature's curiosities, but of perfect stillness within endless change. Beneath every moon since the dawn of time, it has danced the same quiet dance, unbroken, unending, unforgotten. For in the tadpole shrimp's moonlit movement lies the purest truth of life itself, that even in the smallest motions, the universe remembers how to move. The calm that once embraced the ancient lakes did not last forever. The earth, patient yet unpredictable, shifted in its sleep. Beneath the crust, deep within the molten heart of the planet, fire began to stir. It was not sudden. It was the slow awakening of a force older than life itself. The world that had been shaped by water now trembled under the breath of flame. Mountains groaned, continents cracked, and the air grew heavy with the scent of smoke and change. It was an age when the ground itself was alive, when the earth turned to fire. Volcanoes rose where plains once stretched, their peaks bleeding light into the darkening skies. Rivers of molten rock carved through ancient valleys, turning forests to ash and boiling the shallows where tadpole shrimp once glided in peace. The lakes, once mirrors of the moon, now steamed beneath clouds of sulfur and heat. Lightning stitched across the heavens, and the air shimmered with dust. Yet even in this world of chaos, life endured, small, unseen, and impossibly determined. Beneath the glowing crust, in pools untouched by fire, the tadpole shrimp survived. It waited, as it always had, for balance to return. Its eggs, hidden deep within the cool layers of sediment, slept through the cataclysm. They felt the tremors above, the vibration of a world remade, yet they did not break. They waited, patient as stone, quiet as time. Their shells, hardened by nature's foresight, were small vaults of immortality, keeping life sealed against the violence of change. When the rains finally came, they fell upon a scorched planet. Steam rose in pillars as the water met the burning earth. The soil hissed, the lakes filled again, and from the mud, the tadpole shrimp awoke. Its resurrection was as silent as its sleep. It emerged into a world reborn, the air still thick with the ghost of fire, the land blackened, the sky red. But it moved through this new dawn as though nothing had happened. For it knew, in its ancient way, that destruction was only another face of creation. The fire had not ended life. It had tempered it. The tadpole shrimp's world was now harsher, the waters more transient, the temperatures wilder. Yet these very challenges carved perfection from persistence. Each generation that followed became stronger in stillness, wiser in waiting. Its eggs learned to endure drought, heat, and frost, to rest through decades of silence until the right touch of water returned. Its body remained unchanged, for it did not need to adapt further. It was already complete. The fire had tested it, and it had passed. Elsewhere, great creatures rose and fell. Reptiles of the air, predators of the deep, titans that shook the earth when they walked. But none of them would last as long as the tiny architect of survival beneath the mud. For when fire came again, and it always did, the tadpole shrimp would not flee. It would simply disappear, unseen, into the soil, and wait for the age of flame to end once more. The earth cooled slowly. The sky, once filled with smoke, cleared to reveal stars that had watched it all in silence. The charred plains softened into new wetlands, and the cycle of water began anew. Where lava had hardened, rain carved new basins, and in those young lakes, the tadpole shrimp returned, unchanged, eternal. The same small body, the same gentle movement, the same rhythm beneath the surface. It was as if time itself bowed before it, allowing its form to pass untouched through the ages of upheaval. To watch it gliding once more beneath the recovering sky was to witness the triumph of patience over violence. It did not rebuild the world. It simply reminded the world how to live again. The tadpole shrimp did not conquer fire, nor did it escape it. It endured by disappearing into silence, returning only when peace was possible. It lived not by defiance, but by wisdom, the wisdom of knowing when to wait. And so, from that age of flame, a lesson emerged. That survival is not the privilege of the powerful, but the art of the patient. The tadpole shrimp did not evolve through dominance or aggression. It evolved through stillness, through trust in the turning of the earth. It knew, as if by instinct, that even fire burns itself out, that destruction is never eternal. In that understanding, it became eternal itself. The world would burn many times again. The continents would split, oceans would vanish and reappear, and the air would shift from poison to breath. Yet through every transformation, somewhere, hidden beneath layers of earth or sealed within grains of dust, the tadpole shrimp waited, the silent witness of every rebirth. It had seen the first dawns and would see many more, moving calmly through each as though they were all the same morning. Even now, when we look into the shallow pools that form after summer storms, we are staring into the memory of that age. Each tadpole shrimp we see carries within it the memory of fire, not as a scar, but as a story of endurance. Its tiny body holds the history of the Earth's greatest tempests and the wisdom that followed them. It reminds us that the world does not end in flame, it transforms, and that within every transformation, there is a chance to begin again. As the moon rises once more over cooling lakes, the tadpole shrimp glides through the reflection of its own ancient world. The fire has passed, the waters have returned, and the dance continues. Its movements, soft and deliberate, trace invisible patterns of time itself. The earth turns, the stars shift, the world changes, but beneath it all, the same quiet swimmer endures, as it has for 220 million years. And so, the fire that once threatened to end all things became only another verse in the tadpole shrimp's endless story, a reminder that even in destruction, life can find its way home. For when the earth turned to fire, the tadpole shrimp simply waited for the water to return. Beneath the calm shimmer of the ancient lake, the mud holds more than silt and stone. It holds memory. Layer upon layer, year after year, the soft earth beneath the tadpole shrimp becomes an archive of life, a vast, silent library written not in ink, but in the language of sediment and time. Every ripple that settles, every grain that falls, carries a story. The tadpole shrimp drifts across it, unaware that it glides over the pages of its own history. The mud is thick and cool, dark as sleep. It smells of minerals and ancient rain. It moves slowly, like a living thing, swallowing the remains of seasons long gone. Tiny shells, fragments of algae, bones of creatures too small to name, all sink into its embrace. There they rest, compacted by ages, sealed away from the breath of the air. What was once alive becomes a whisper, and what was once motion becomes stillness. But the tadpole shrimp, eternal wanderer of the shallows, leaves its mark too. Delicate impressions of its shield, faint trails of its legs, soft spirals from where it stirred the silt in search of food. These traces, fragile as dreams, remain hidden until the earth turns them into stone. It does not know that it is writing history. It does not know that one day, long after its lakes have dried and its sky has changed, those impressions will be found again, fossilized ghosts beneath layers of time. Scientists will lift the stones, brush away the dust, and marvel that such perfect shapes still exist. The imprints of its carapace, the patterns of its limbs, the delicate tracks of its feeding trails, all preserved as though the creature had only just passed by. The tadpole shrimp leaves behind no monuments, no bones, no roar. Its legacy is written softly, in the quiet persistence of the mud. There is poetry in that kind of remembrance. The mud does not judge what it holds. It keeps everything, without preference, without hierarchy. The fallen leaf, the forgotten egg, the shadow of a shell. In its stillness, it preserves the truth of the world as it was. The tadpole shrimp, drifting lazily across the bottom, is part of that truth. Its presence shapes the environment without meaning to, stirring nutrients into the water, feeding the unseen, keeping the cycle in motion. It is both writer and written, a small creature whose movements become history itself. As millennia pass, layers of mud build upon one another, pressing down like time's slow breath. Within them lie echoes, faint chemical signatures, fossilized shapes, and ancient silences. The tadpole shrimp's eggs, buried deep, sometimes join this record. Some awaken when rains return. Others are entombed forever, tiny spheres of potential locked in sediment. Even in death, they do not decay quickly. They rest as seeds of memory, waiting for water that will never come. The mud becomes their cradle and their grave, their keeper and their storyteller. And yet, in this still world beneath the surface, there is movement, slow, patient, eternal. Microbes feed on remnants of life, releasing whispers of gas that rise like prayers to the surface. Minerals shift and fuse, turning liquid memory into solid stone. The tadpole shrimp continues its quiet work, stirring the ancient silt, unknowingly blending the past with the present. Each stroke of its legs sends particles drifting upward, dust from forgotten ages mingling with the breath of the living. The boundary between what has been and what is becomes impossible to see. When the lake dries, the mud cracks in silence. The tadpole shrimp burrows down, following the dampness as far as it will go. The sun bakes the upper layers, turning them to brittle clay, but beneath, the deeper mud remains soft, protective. Within it, life hides. When the rains return, the mud loosens once more, breathing water and life back into itself. From its depths, new tadpole shrimp emerge, as if drawn from the past. Their ancestors and descendants sharing the same soil, the same stillness, the same beginning. There is a rhythm in this cycle that speaks of eternity. Life sinks into mud, mud turns to memory, memory awakens as life again. It is not reincarnation as we imagine it, but continuity, the seamless blending of existence across time. The tadpole shrimp is not reborn, it is resumed. Its life is not a story with an ending, but a song without pause. The mud beneath its feet hums with this truth, low and constant, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. To the human eye, mud is only dirt and decay, something lifeless and still. But to the tadpole shrimp, it is the most sacred of places, a refuge, a nursery, a memory made tangible. In its depths lies the promise of return. For every egg that rests there, there is a future waiting for rain. Every fragment buried there whispers of a time when the world was warm, wet, and alive. Even when the surface world forgets, the mud remembers. Perhaps that is why, when we uncover the fossils of tadpole shrimp today, their forms are so hauntingly complete. They seem as though they could stir again at any moment, as though the mud has preserved not just their shape, but their patience. The earth has kept them safe through fire and frost, through the breaking of continents and the death of empires. The mud has kept their echoes intact, waiting quietly for the day we would listen. And when we do, when we look upon the delicate fossil of a tadpole shrimp pressed into stone, we are hearing those echoes. They are not words, but sensations, the warmth of ancient water, the weight of silence, the smell of rain returning to parched ground. They remind us that the earth never truly forgets what it has loved. The tadpole shrimp moves again tonight, stirring fresh silt across the bottom of a modern pool. Above it, the stars shine in their familiar constellations, though millions of years have passed since it first danced beneath them. Each flick of its limb sends a whisper into the mud below, another story, another layer, another echo to join the deep chorus of time. And when the water one day recedes, and the world turns dry again, the mud will once more cradle its eggs, holding them in trust until the next rain. In that patience lies the secret of immortality, not to resist the passage of time, but to become part of its rhythm. So the tadpole shrimp lives, glides, burrows, and rests. The mud holds its memory, the rain restores its song, and the earth turns on. Beneath every lake, beneath every puddle, the echoes remain, soft, endless, waiting. The world remembers its waters, but it also remembers their absence. There are ages when the sky closes itself, when the clouds drift away and the air turns dry, leaving the earth to thirst. The lakes that once shimmered under ancient suns shrink to patches of dust. The rivers, once veins of life, become scars upon the land. The wind sighs across the emptiness, lifting the scent of forgotten rain. And in those long, quiet seasons, the great droughts of time, the tadpole shrimp endures, as it always has, in silence. The surface world cracks and fades, its colors muted to shades of ochre and gray. The mud that once cradled life hardens into stone. The air shimmers with heat, the horizon trembles like a mirage. Yet somewhere beneath that lifeless crust, hidden deep in the soil, the tadpole shrimp sleeps. It does not breathe. It does not move. Its fragile body would perish in a day under such a sun, but it has already vanished, replaced by its promise, the egg. Each egg, no larger than a grain of dust, lies buried beneath layers of dried earth. To the eye, it is nothing, a speck among countless others. But within it, time is still alive. Its walls are thick, sealed with ancient wisdom. They can resist the heat, the frost, the weight of decades. The embryo within lies suspended between life and death, waiting for a sound it cannot hear, the first touch of rain. The tadpole shrimp's eggs are not fragile things. They are miracles of endurance. They have survived droughts that lasted centuries, buried beneath the bones of worlds that forgot their names. When deserts swallowed lakes, when salt devoured soil, when the sun burned without mercy, they remained untouched, tiny vessels of patience. Even as continents drifted and climates changed, the eggs persisted, scattered like invisible stars across the beds of vanished ponds. And so the tadpole shrimp story does not end with the drying of the lakes. It simply pauses, its breath folded into the earth. The world above may move on. Forests rise, creatures evolve, mountains crumble, but beneath the surface, time waits, perfectly still. This is the tadpole shrimp's greatest secret. It has learned how to sleep through eternity. When the rains at last return, and they always do, the transformation is quiet and complete. The first drops fall like whispers, soft against the dust. The ground drinks eagerly, darkening as moisture spreads through its cracks. The soil loosens, breathes, and the long-dormant eggs awaken. Within hours, life stirs again. Tiny shapes unfurl, delicate legs move for the first time in years, and the water once more becomes a cradle. From stillness comes motion. From death, rebirth. The tadpole shrimp emerges into this new world without memory of the drought. It does not know how long it slept. It does not remember the parched air or the cracked earth. It simply begins, feeding, swimming, laying eggs of its own before the cycle closes once more. In the span of days, the ancient rhythm is renewed. What was lost is found again, not by will or force, but by perfect trust in time's return. And yet, not all rains come quickly. Some droughts last so long that the shape of the world changes before the tadpole shrimp wakes again. Lakes vanish forever, leaving their beds as deserts of salt and stone. In those forgotten basins, the eggs remain buried, thousands, millions of them, waiting for a rain that may never fall. Scientists have found them in the driest corners of the earth, still viable after centuries, their inner life untouched by age. They are as though the planet itself keeps these tiny seeds of memory, refusing to let its oldest inhabitants disappear. Through these endless droughts, the tadpole shrimp teaches a truth that few creatures ever learn, that endurance is not defiance, but faith. It does not rage against the sun, nor struggle against the dust. It simply waits. It believes in water, even when water is gone. Its survival is an act of quiet trust. Trust that the earth, in its vast patience, will one day breathe again. Imagine those long, silent centuries. The world above changes completely. The seas retreat, then rise. The forests bloom, then die. The sky grows cold, then burns again. Entire ages pass, but beneath the dust, the tadpole shrimp's eggs remain, untouched, unbroken, dreaming of rain. They are time's own heartbeat, steady beneath the silence. When at last the heavens open, it is as though the world exhales. The rain falls with the smell of renewal, and the earth softens to receive it. Streams return to their beds, lakes form where none have been for ages. And from the mud, the tadpole shrimp awakens once more, unchanged. Its carapace gleams beneath the newborn light. Its limbs stir the water, mixing the silt of ancient droughts into the breath of the present. It swims as though it never left, as though no centuries have passed, because for it they have not. It lives outside of time, carried through it like a secret. In its patient waiting, the tadpole shrimp has witnessed every shape of the earth, wet and dry, young and old, broken and renewed. It has seen oceans form where mountains once stood and deserts bloom where seas once lay. It is a thread connecting all those worlds together, a single living line through the tapestry of change. To the tadpole shrimp, drought is not death. It is only silence. A pause in the song of water, a resting place between verses. And when the music begins again, it joins without hesitation, perfectly in tune. Even now, in the modern world, when rains come after long dry seasons, you can still find them, suddenly appearing in roadside puddles, in the temporary ponds that form after a storm. No one sees where they came from, and yet there they are, as they have always been. The same eyes that watched the Triassic skies now gaze upon our own reflections. The same rhythm that moved through ancient mud now stirs beneath our fleeting rain. The tadpole shrimp's immortality is not measured in years, but in patience, the patience to wait for the return of what is lost, to trust that every drought, no matter how long, will one day break. And when it does, the world will remember its waters again, and the tadpole shrimp will rise, quiet and eternal, to greet them. The earth, ever patient, moves in rhythms far beyond human reckoning. From the quiet shallows where the tadpole shrimp drifts, the world above begins to change. Forests rise, vast and green, stretching like carpets across the newly healed lands. The air is thick with growth, heavy with the scent of resin and rain. And in these forests, and upon the open plains beyond them, giants begin to stir. They are slow at first, shadows in the distance, tentative shapes testing the warmth of the sun. Yet they grow quickly, larger with each generation, their presence impossible to ignore. They are the rulers of the Triassic and Jurassic landscapes, the first titans of a world still learning to walk upright and roar. The tadpole shrimp watches this transformation without understanding it, for it has never needed to. Its world is the water, the mud, the rhythm of rising and falling lakes. Yet it cannot escape the echo of these newcomers. The forests shake with the movement of giant reptiles, their scales glinting in the early sunlight. Long-necked herbivores graze where ferns are thickest, their heads lifting to pluck leaves from branches that sway under their weight. Carnivores hunt in silence, patience and power mingled in each careful step. Above the treetops, the first flying reptiles carve arcs through the sky, their wings catching the wind like sails. And beneath it all, in the smallest of pools, the tadpole shrimp drifts, untouched and unnoticed, yet still present. The rise of giants is a story of scale, of ambition, of energy made flesh. Mountains tremble as enormous creatures move through valleys. Trees bow beneath their steps. Water is drawn from streams and lakes, reshaped by their passage. Yet in this story, the smallest beings tell their own tale. The tadpole shrimp does not compete. It does not flee or fight. It continues its quiet work, feeding on invisible particles, laying eggs in the soft mud, stirring nutrients into the water. It does not need strength to survive, only harmony. Its life moves in a different dimension, a calm persistence that the giants cannot perceive. In these same shallow lakes, even the presence of massive reptiles leaves little trace. Their shadows may cross the surface, their footprints may press into soft mud, but they cannot disturb what is hidden beneath. The eggs of the tadpole shrimp lie buried, enduring, waiting. Rain may vanish, drought may come, predators may roam, yet the tiny architect of survival continues, silent, timeless. While the earth builds new kingdoms of size and dominance above, the shrimp maintains the rhythm of the world below. The contrast is stark, a world of fleeting power above, a world of enduring patience below. Giants may fall from disease, hunger, or the change of climate. Entire lineages vanish, leaving behind only bones and echoes. But in the shallow pools, the tadpole shrimp remains, unchanged, untouched, surviving in harmony with the ebb and flow of time. It has witnessed the rise of countless rulers of the land and the sky, yet it knows that none can outlast the rhythm of the lakes. And the lakes themselves continue their quiet work. Their waters, shallow and transient, mirror the sky, carry the clouds, collect the rains. The tadpole shrimp moves within them, stirring sediment, lifting nutrients, feeding unseen algae, weaving its silent magic. The giants above cannot alter its cycle. Their weight, their hunger, their dominance, they are irrelevant to the persistence of this small ancient swimmer. It does not struggle for existence, because it has already discovered the secret of survival: to move in tune with the pulse of the planet rather than against it. As centuries pass, the giants multiply and diversify. The air fills with the calls of creatures far larger than the tadpole shrimp, yet their voices do not reach the still water where it lives. Their power is ephemeral, measured in scales and teeth and shadow. The tadpole shrimp's power is invisible, yet it is eternal. Each egg it lays is a promise to endure beyond droughts, beyond fire, beyond extinction. Its body, unchanged for hundreds of millions of years, continues to glide through a world that seems entirely different with each passing age. Even as ecosystems shift, climates warm and cool, and new predators rise, the tadpole shrimp maintains its place. It has no fear of giants, no desire to challenge them. Its life is not a battle but a rhythm. It does not seek glory, it does not crave dominance. It simply moves in harmony with the water, with the mud, with the subtle patterns of the earth. And because of this, it survives. In a quiet pool beneath the shadow of an enormous herbivore, the tadpole shrimp glides upside down, its delicate limbs stirring the sediment. It is a ghost of the past, a reminder of endurance amid grandeur. The rise of giants tells a story of power and spectacle, but the shrimp tells a story of patience and harmony. One may dominate a landscape for decades, centuries, or millennia, but only the rhythm of quiet persistence can endure for hundreds of millions of years. And so, as the sun sets over forests that will one day be buried under stone, as the shadows of titans lengthen across the land, the tadpole shrimp continues its eternal dance beneath the shallow water. It is small, it is simple, it is invisible, yet it is a witness to the rise and fall of every giant the earth has ever known. In its quiet way, it has already outlasted them all, a master of survival in a world built for the mighty. The lakes shimmer with the light of a dying day, reflecting both the vastness above and the stillness below. And within their depths, the tadpole shrimp glides, timeless, eternal, a silent reminder that in the grand story of the earth, even the smallest beings may carry the greatest secrets. Beneath the gentle shimmer of the lakes, the world hides its deepest secrets. The surface may ripple with light, reflecting the sun or moon, or tremble with the passage of unseen giants. But below, the sediment holds the true story of the earth. Each layer is a page, written not in ink but in mud and mineral, carrying the whispers of countless generations. Here, in these quiet depths, the tadpole shrimp glides, a living archivist, stirring history with every stroke of its legs. Its presence is small, almost imperceptible, yet it shapes the sediment in subtle, profound ways. The mud is dense and layered, a record of floods, droughts, and the slow fall of time. Tiny grains of silt settle atop one another, capturing the traces of life long gone, the delicate imprint of a leaf, the faint spiral of a shell, the ghostly track of a creature that moved once and disappeared forever. Within these layers lie the eggs of the tadpole shrimp, buried for decades or centuries, waiting for rain to awaken them. Each one is a time capsule, preserving life in its most patient, enduring form. The shrimp moves above, unaware of the archives beneath, yet it contributes to them, stirring the sediment, lifting nutrients, and leaving behind faint impressions of its own passage. The sediment remembers more than life. It remembers fire and drought, earthquakes and floods, the rise and fall of mountains. In its layers are the echoes of extinction events, the footprints of giants, the collapse of forests, and the birth of new lakes. The tadpole shrimp's eggs endure through them all, protected by the mud that cradles them, waiting silently for the return of water. In a world of chaos, the sediment is constant, a witness to the cycles of destruction and renewal, a silent chronicle of time itself. Some layers are soft, recent deposits that hold the faint traces of a summer storm. Others are hardened, compacted by centuries of pressure, holding fossils that will one day speak to creatures that no longer walk the earth. Among these hardened layers, the tadpole shrimp leaves its smallest marks, the curve of its carapace, the tracks of its delicate limbs, patterns invisible to the naked eye but eternal to those who know how to read them. Its life is recorded not in grandeur but in subtlety, a quiet testament to persistence. The lakes themselves shape the sediment as much as the sediment shapes the shrimp. Each rise and fall of water carries particles from distant lands, dust, pollen, minerals, tiny fragments of decayed life. When the tadpole shrimp stirs the bottom, these particles are lifted and mixed, creating a tapestry of mud that tells stories of far-off forests, of storms, of volcanic ash that fell from skies long extinguished. Every movement is a brushstroke, painting history into the soft floor of the lake, blending the past with the present, preparing for the generations that will emerge after the next rain. Through the centuries, some layers are buried so deep they will never see light again. Others are exposed when floods cut through valleys, when rivers shift, or when winds strip away the surface. In these moments, the secrets beneath the sediment become visible, offering glimpses of life long gone. Paleontologists, millennia later, will uncover the traces of the tadpole shrimp and marvel at its perfection, never fully grasping the quiet story that played out in the mud for millions of years. They will see the imprint of its carapace, the spiral of its leg tracks, and imagine the creature frozen in time, unaware that it still lives in countless pools around the world, unchanged. The sediment is more than preservation. It is a connection across time. It links the lakes of the Triassic to those of today, the creatures that walked with early dinosaurs to the ones we see in modern ephemeral pools. And in this connection, the tadpole shrimp moves not as an isolated survivor but as a living bridge, a constant presence threading through the ever-changing world above. Its life, though small, is recorded in every layer, every grain, every whisper of mud that shifts beneath the water. And as the sun rises and the lake warms, the shrimp drifts through its world, stirring sediment and history alike. The particles rise slowly, mingling the stories of the past with the life of the present, feeding invisible algae, creating habitats for creatures unseen. Every ripple in the mud carries the echo of ages, droughts, floods, predators, and the quiet passing of time. The tadpole shrimp is both witness and actor, creator and creation, a silent archivist of the cycles that govern life. To touch the sediment is to touch memory. To watch the tadpole shrimp move within it is to witness endurance itself. Beneath the quiet lakes, the secrets of Earth are written in mud, layer upon layer, century upon century, and the smallest swimmer keeps them alive. Even when the surface world changes beyond recognition, when lakes vanish and continents shift, the sediment holds the record, and the tadpole shrimp continues its quiet dance, stirring history with each patient, timeless stroke. In the end, the secret beneath the sediment is simple. Life, no matter how small, leaves a mark, and the smallest mark can endure longer than the loudest roar. The tadpole shrimp, gliding through mud and memory, carries within it the echoes of countless worlds, the wisdom of endurance, and the proof that even in silence, life persists forever. After the long silence of drought, the world listens for a change. The clouds gather slowly on the horizon, heavy with the memory of distant seas. The air carries the scent of promise, a faint, electric tang of water waiting to fall. The first drops are subtle, barely touching the cracked soil, yet they awaken something ancient and patient beneath the surface. The mud softens, the dust darkens, and the world holds its breath. It is a moment both ordinary and miraculous. Rain returns. For the tadpole shrimp, the first drops are life itself. Buried in the cool, protective layers of sediment, the eggs sense the touch of moisture and respond in silence. Centuries of patience, millennia of waiting, converge in an instant. The embryo stirs, delicate limbs unfurl, and the creature emerges into a world renewed. The water swells around it, pooling in the basins and shallow lakes where it has always belonged. The rhythm of life, paused but never broken, resumes. The returning rain reshapes the landscape in subtle, powerful ways. Tiny streams thread through mud-cracked valleys, merging into ponds that glimmer like mirrors. Pools that have lain empty for years refill with life, drawing the first invisible clouds of microorganisms, algae, and plankton. Each droplet carries nutrients and minerals, resurrecting entire ecosystems with a touch. The tadpole shrimp glides through these newborn waters, moving gracefully as it stirs the sediment, lifting particles, feeding, and preparing the lake for all who will arrive after it. Around it, the environment awakens in stages. Plants, dormant but resilient, sense the moisture and send shoots toward the sun. Insects emerge from hidden refuges, drawn by the pulse of water. Tiny crustaceans and other swimmers follow, populating the ephemeral pools. The lake becomes a stage for renewal, and the tadpole shrimp is both audience and performer, maintaining the delicate balance that allows life to flourish. Its movements create gentle currents, circulating nutrients, mixing layers of sediment, and shaping the underwater landscape. The rhythm of rain is a rhythm of survival. The tadpole shrimp lays eggs almost immediately, scattering them across the soft mud, each one a vessel of hope, each one prepared to endure the inevitable dry season that will follow. The cycle is eternal. Rain returns, life awakens, eggs are laid, water recedes, and waiting begins again. There is no fear in this cycle, only trust. The shrimp knows that water will leave, but it also knows that water will always return. Its body and its eggs are perfectly attuned to this pattern, honed by hundreds of millions of years of repetition. The pools reflect the sky in dazzling detail, capturing every movement of clouds and light. For a moment, the world is pristine, perfect in its fleeting beauty. The tadpole shrimp moves through these reflections as though dancing among the stars themselves. Its translucent limbs catch glimmers of sunlight, and its carapace glows softly beneath the rippling surface. It is ancient, yet newly born, a creature unchanged by time, yet reborn with each rain. And the rain continues, gentle at first, then steady, until the earth seems to breathe again. Water flows into basins that have been dry for decades, connecting lakes, nourishing soil, and replenishing hidden aquifers. The landscape hums with renewal. Birds have not yet come, mammals are still distant shadows, and yet life teems in quiet, miraculous abundance. Everything small, hidden, and resilient responds to the rain's touch, and the tadpole shrimp is at the heart of it all. Even as storms pass and skies clear, the impact of the rain lingers. Sediment is stirred, eggs are laid, nutrients circulate, and a new generation of tadpole shrimp begins its journey. The world above may change rapidly. Temperatures rise and fall, predators roam, and landscapes shift, but in these ephemeral waters, time flows differently. The rain resets the cycle, and for a moment, the planet seems to pause, allowing life to dance in rhythm with the falling drops. In this delicate ballet, the tadpole shrimp is both ancient and immediate. Its body, unchanged for hundreds of millions of years, moves with a perfection that mirrors the return of water itself. It is a living testament to patience, endurance, and trust in the rhythms of the earth. As the sun rises and casts its golden light across the rejuvenated pools, the shrimp glides through the shallow waters, lifting sediment and life alike, ensuring that the cycle of rain and renewal will continue, as it always has, as it always will. And so, with the return of rain, the world breathes once more. The lakes are alive, the mud is soft, and the smallest creatures carry within them the memory of drought survived and the promise of life reborn. The tadpole shrimp, eternal witness of these cycles, continues its dance beneath the surface, a quiet reminder that even in the face of time's unending passage, life persists, patiently, resiliently, beautifully. Beneath the tranquil surface of lakes and ponds, a world of quiet labor unfolds. It is invisible to the casual eye, yet it shapes the very fabric of ecosystems. Here, the tadpole shrimp moves like a master craftsman, performing tasks that ripple outward into the living world above. Its every motion stirs sediment, lifts particles, and circulates nutrients, creating habitats for countless tiny organisms. Though small, it is an architect of survival, sculpting the underwater landscape with invisible hands. The carapace glides just above the mud, and its legs sweep rhythmically, lifting detritus and stirring algae, mixing the water like a pot of creation. With each stroke, oxygen is introduced into the deeper layers, sustaining unseen colonies of microorganisms. These microbes, in turn, break down organic matter, releasing nourishment into the water. Tiny invertebrates find refuge in the stirred sediment, feeding on what the shrimp stirs to the surface. Each movement is subtle, deliberate, and essential, a dance of cause and effect that sustains the life of the lake. Even the eggs of the tadpole shrimp are part of this architecture. Scattered across the mud, they lie hidden and protected, waiting for the right conditions to awaken. Their presence adds structure to the sediment, providing stability and organic material that enriches the soil. Over centuries, these hidden seeds of life ensure the continuation of both the shrimp and the myriad creatures that share its home. It is a network of interdependence, invisible yet vital, a reminder that even the smallest life forms can shape the world around them. The lakes themselves respond to the work of these hidden architects. Sediment is leveled, nutrients are distributed, and pockets of water remain accessible to other life. In the shallow pools, frogs may emerge, insects may lay eggs, and plants may root in places they otherwise could not. All of it depends, in part, on the silent labor of creatures like the tadpole shrimp. It does not seek recognition. It does not claim credit. Yet without it, the rhythm of life above would falter, the delicate balance of these ephemeral worlds undone. Through the millennia, these architects have survived fire, drought, and the rise of giants. The lakes have shrunk and expanded, climates have shifted, and continents have drifted. Yet the tadpole shrimp endures, continuing its work in perfect harmony with the environment. Its form has not changed, for it is already optimized, a creature built not for spectacle but for resilience. Each generation performs the same delicate task, preserving the subtle infrastructure that allows life to flourish in these transient waters. There is wisdom in this quiet labor. The tadpole shrimp teaches that power does not always manifest in size or dominance. True influence can be subtle, persistent, and unseen. It shows that survival is often built not on confrontation, but on harmony, an intimate understanding of one's environment and the patient shaping of it for future generations. While giants roam the land and storms rage across the world, the shrimp continues its work, knowing that enduring impact lies in consistency, not aggression. Even as modern humans look upon the lakes and marvel at their complexity, the work of these hidden architects continues unnoticed. Tiny ripples lift sediments, invisible currents distribute life, and generations of eggs await their turn to awaken. The tadpole shrimp, ancient and unchanged, remains the steward of these waters, guiding their health without awareness, teaching the earth itself how to persist through the cycles of drought, flood, fire, and renewal. To witness this is to understand the quiet genius of nature. The lakes are alive not merely because of what is visible above, but because of the intricate, patient work below. The tadpole shrimp, through its simple existence, ensures that life thrives in forms both small and grand. Its legs stir the sediment, its eggs lie waiting in the mud, its body glides through water like a brush across a canvas. In these movements, it becomes a hidden architect, a guardian of ecosystems, and a testament to the power of patience and continuity. And so, in every ephemeral pond, in every shallow lake, the tadpole shrimp continues its silent work. It is unnoticed, uncelebrated, yet indispensable. Its labor links generations, sustains countless forms of life, and preserves the delicate balance of the ancient waters. In the grand narrative of the earth, it is a quiet force, a master of subtle design, and a reminder that even the smallest life can shape the destiny of a world. The earth moves with a rhythm beyond human comprehension, a pulse measured not in years but in epochs. Mountains rise and crumble, oceans shift, Continents drift across the globe, and yet beneath it all, the tadpole shrimp persists. It is a silent witness to the passage of time, observing without thought, recording without ink, enduring without recognition. Its existence spans hundreds of millions of years, long before the first forests rose, long before the first birds took to the sky, long before humanity would ever imagine its own fleeting presence. In the still waters of shallow lakes, it glides slowly, seemingly without purpose, yet its movements chronicle the history of the world. Each stroke of its limbs disturbs sediment that carries memories of ancient floods, long-forgotten droughts, and the distant echoes of volcanic fire. Every egg it lays embeds within the mud the potential for continuity, a promise that life will endure even as the landscapes above change beyond recognition. The shrimp does not age in the same way as the giants of the earth. Its form is eternal, a constant among the shifting tides of evolution. As time flows around it, the tadpole shrimp watches civilizations rise and fall in invisible reflection. The dinosaurs dominate the land, only to vanish under the weight of extinction. Mammals emerge in the shadows of their predecessors, their quiet footsteps lost to the ages. The continents drift, oceans form and recede, and climates swing from scorching heat to glacial cold. Yet the shrimp remains, a small, unchanging presence, perfectly adapted to the cycles of water and mud, untouched by the chaos above. It witnesses not with eyes, nor records with memory in the human sense, but through existence itself. The rhythm of its life, emerging after rain, gliding through shallow waters, laying eggs in the mud, aligns with the cycles of the earth. In this alignment, it becomes a chronometer of survival, a living testament to the passage of ages. Scientists millions of years later will study its fossils and marvel at its persistence, yet even they cannot grasp the full scope of its silent observation. The tadpole shrimp has seen the world's triumphs and collapses, yet it continues in perfect harmony with each turn of the earth. Its life is a study in patience and resilience. While mighty predators and colossal reptiles dominate the land, the shrimp thrives beneath the surface, unnoticed. Fires rage across continents, droughts parch lakes, floods sweep valleys, yet it endures, tucked within the safety of sediment or lying dormant in its eggs. Through these trials, it teaches a subtle but profound lesson. Survival is not about conquest, power, or visibility. It is about quiet endurance, the ability to persist through the cycles of fortune and misfortune, to adapt without changing, to wait for conditions to align, and to continue. Even the smallest events leave traces that the shrimp carries forward. A sudden rain after a long dry season brings a flurry of activity. Eggs awaken, limbs stir, water pulses with life, yet the shrimp experiences it as continuity, not novelty. The rise and fall of species, the shifting of climates, the sculpting of landscapes, all are notes in the background of its existence, harmonies in the long symphony of the earth. It is the living memory of what has come and the living hope of what will continue. Through epochs, the tadpole shrimp has outlasted creatures far larger, far more powerful, far more celebrated. It has survived mass extinctions, climatic upheavals, and the slow, relentless march of geological change. Its endurance is not accidental. It is written into its very being, into the structure of its eggs, the design of its carapace, and the rhythm of its life. Each generation reaffirms the continuity of existence, a bridge between the past and the future, a witness to time itself. To watch it is to glimpse eternity in motion. It glides through water that reflects skies long vanished, through mud that holds the imprints of ages, through a world constantly reshaped above its silent plain. The tadpole shrimp does not participate in the spectacle of history, nor does it need to. Its witness is the proof of endurance, a reminder that even the smallest life forms carry the weight of survival across incomprehensible spans of time. And so, beneath the sun, beneath the clouds, beneath the shifting winds of millions of years, the tadpole shrimp drifts quietly. It observes the rise and fall of species, the sculpting of continents, the birth of lakes and deserts, all without haste or worry. It is the silent witness to Earth's story, humble, unassuming, yet eternal. Its life is a testament to patience, to harmony, and to the quiet persistence that allows life to endure when all else is fleeting. Through its stillness, through its motion, through its enduring presence, the tadpole shrimp reminds us that time is not measured by the grand or the spectacular, but by the steady, unbroken rhythms of survival. It is a keeper of history, a guardian of life, and a living monument to the eternal flow of the planet it has called home for more than 220 million years. Beneath the calm surface of the ancient lakes, life hides its most miraculous secret, the eggs of the tadpole shrimp. Small, simple, and seemingly fragile, they are in fact tiny fortresses of endurance, each one a vault containing the promise of survival across the eons. To the casual observer, they are nothing more than grains of dust, invisible against the silt. Yet within each lies the power to withstand drought, fire, cold, and the passage of centuries, a quiet, enduring testament to life's patient genius. These eggs are not born in haste. They are laid with precision, scattered across the soft mud, nestled into crevices, tucked beneath layers of sediment. They are designed to wait, to endure, to outlast the upheavals of the world above. For the tadpole shrimp, life is a cycle of rain and drying, of emergence and dormancy. Its eggs are the bridge between these worlds, the mechanism through which existence persists despite the chaos of changing climates and shifting continents. Each egg is a tiny ark, carrying the genetic memory of its ancestors, the blueprint for survival encoded in its shell. Time holds no dominion over these eggs. They can survive decades, sometimes centuries, in the absence of water. They lie dormant as lakes vanish, as droughts scorch the land, as predators roam above. Within their hardened shells, the embryos pause, suspended in a delicate stasis, unaffected by the passing of years. It is a patience beyond comprehension, a trust in the cycles of the earth that ensures life will resume when the world is ready. And when the rains return, the eggs awaken with astonishing precision. Moisture penetrates their protective shells, triggering a cascade of life that unfolds beneath the surface. Limbs unfurl, delicate antennae twitch, and the tiny creatures emerge into a world reborn. The lakes fill with motion, the sediment stirs, and the rhythm of life continues uninterrupted. The eggs are not merely vessels of survival. They are vessels of renewal, catalysts for the continuation of the delicate balance within the shallow waters. Through millions of years, these eggs have endured events that reshaped the planet. Volcanic eruptions that blanketed continents in ash, massive droughts that dried lakes into cracked basins, floods that swept away entire ecosystems. Entire species have vanished above, leaving only fossils to tell their story. Yet the tadpole shrimp's eggs have persisted, hidden and protected, allowing the species to continue unchanged. Their resilience is not a matter of chance but of design, the product of millions of years of evolution, perfected to withstand the extremes of time. The eggs are more than survival tools. They are instruments of continuity. Each one carries the memory of the species, a record of generations that have endured long before humans walked the earth. They are the connection between past and future, ensuring that the rhythm of the lakes, the stirring of sediment, and the quiet persistence of life continue without interruption. Even when the waters vanish and the world above is harsh and inhospitable, the eggs lie in trust, waiting for conditions to return. In their dormancy, they teach a profound lesson. Life does not always act in haste. Sometimes endurance, patience, and perfect timing are the truest forms of survival. While predators, floods, and droughts rage above, the eggs remain undisturbed, demonstrating that the smallest and most unassuming forms of life often hold the greatest power. They are not marked by grandeur or dominance, yet they carry within them the key to immortality, the ability to endure, to wait, and to emerge again when the moment is right. Even today, tadpole shrimp eggs lie hidden in sediments around the world, waiting for the rain to return. Some will awaken after only a few years, others after decades, and some may remain dormant for centuries, unbroken and intact. Each one is a reminder that time itself bows to patience, that survival is not measured in strength but in resilience, and that life, no matter how small, can persist through the greatest challenges the earth can offer. As the rain falls and lakes fill once more, these eggs hatch, giving rise to new generations of tadpole shrimp. They emerge into the same shallow waters their ancestors knew, gliding across mud and sediment, feeding on the smallest particles, stirring the life of the lakes, and continuing the endless cycle. In this simple, delicate, and timeless dance, the species endures, unchanged yet ever renewed. The eggs of eternity are not just the future of the tadpole shrimp, they are the embodiment of life's most profound secret, that survival is not about immediate triumph, but about trust in the rhythms of the world, and the quiet patience to endure until the right moment. Through them, the species has achieved what few others can claim: immortality in the pulse of time itself. To survive for more than 220 million years is to know patience in a way few creatures ever could. The tadpole shrimp moves through the shallow waters of ephemeral lakes as if time itself bends around it. It has witnessed the rise and fall of species far larger and more fearsome, endured the shifting of continents, and survived the cataclysms that have reshaped the earth again and again. And yet, through all the ages, it has remained essentially unchanged, a perfect testament to the resilience of life when guided by patience and harmony. Survival for the tadpole shrimp is neither a struggle nor a conquest. It does not fight the world, it adapts to its rhythms. Its eggs endure droughts, its body withstands the extremes of heat and cold, and its life is timed precisely with the pulse of water and mud. While the lakes may vanish and the world above grow hostile, it retreats into dormancy, lying in wait beneath the sediment. And when the rains return, as they always do, it re-emerges into a world renewed, perfectly prepared to continue its quiet work. Through the ages, the world has tested the tadpole shrimp. Volcanic fire has scorched the lands, drying lakes into dust. Glaciers have reshaped continents. Predators have evolved, risen, and vanished. Whole species, mighty and seemingly immortal, have been reduced to fossils. Yet the tadpole shrimp endures, not by might or cunning, but by simplicity and patience. It is a creature in tune with the cycles of the earth, able to withstand whatever the planet can throw at it because it understands the rhythm of survival on a scale beyond human comprehension. Its longevity is more than biological. It is philosophical. The tadpole shrimp's very existence teaches that survival is not about domination or speed or power, but about endurance and timing. It does not seek glory, nor does it aspire to control its environment. It moves quietly, unnoticed, performing the subtle work that maintains life in the shallow waters. Each stroke of its limbs stirs sediment, lifts nutrients, and sustains the smallest organisms, preserving the ecosystems on which it and countless other creatures depend. Over millions of years, the tadpole shrimp has witnessed epochs of change that would have destroyed lesser creatures. It has lived through the rise of dinosaurs and the reign of mammals, the shifting of oceans, the formation of mountains, and the slow drift of continents. It has endured mass extinctions that wiped away entire ecosystems. And yet it persists, a quiet constant, a living thread linking the distant past to the present. Its life is a testament to the power of consistency, of adaptation without alteration, of harmony without resistance. The secret of its survival is simple, yet profound. It trusts the cycles of water and earth, it hides when conditions are harsh, it emerges when life is possible, and it lays the eggs that will carry its lineage into the future. It does not fight time, it moves with it. And in this patience, it achieves something few species can claim. An immortality not in years or fame, but in resilience, in continuity, in the quiet certainty that life will endure. Even today, tadpole shrimp glide through ephemeral pools, unknowingly carrying the wisdom of hundreds of millions of years. Each generation, emerging from dormancy, repeats the ancient rhythm. Feed, grow, reproduce, lay eggs, retreat, and wait. They have survived the ages not because they are fierce, but because they are perfectly attuned to the world around them, small yet immeasurably wise. They are reminders that endurance often comes in subtle forms, and that sometimes the smallest creatures leave the largest mark on the tapestry of life. To witness the tadpole shrimp is to witness time itself. It is to see life that does not rush, does not falter, and does not demand attention. It is to understand that survival is not a contest, but a dance, slow, precise, patient, eternal. For more than 220 million years, it has endured, unchanged yet ever present, a master of living within the rhythms of the earth, and a quiet teacher of the art of patience and resilience. Through fire, drought, flood, and the endless passage of time, it survives. Through the rise and fall of giants, through the changing of continents, through the shifting of oceans and skies, the tadpole shrimp persists. It is the eternal witness, the patient craftsman, the hidden architect of life's continuity. In its unassuming presence lies the greatest lesson of all. To survive the ages, one must endure, quietly, persistently, and in harmony with the world itself. Beneath the calm, mirrored surface of the lake, the tadpole shrimp glides once more, perfectly at home in a world that has changed beyond recognition. It moves with the same grace, the same rhythm, that it has for hundreds of millions of years. The water is clear and shallow, reflecting the sky, the clouds, the distant sun, yet beneath it all, the shrimp carries the weight of time itself. It is both ancient and present, ordinary and miraculous, small yet eternal, the eternal swimmer. Every stroke of its limbs is a quiet act of continuity. Sediment rises and falls with each movement, lifting particles that feed algae, nourishing the invisible life that depends on it. Its carapace catches the light like a jewel, a fragile armor forged by the endurance of countless generations. The world above may bustle with change. Storms rage, creatures roam, lakes vanish and return. Yet beneath the surface, the rhythm of life flows steadily, unbroken, unchanged. The tadpole shrimp is more than a survivor. It is a testament to patience, endurance, and harmony. It does not dominate the world. It integrates with it, shaping it gently, silently, invisibly. Its eggs, scattered across the mud, are vessels of eternity, holding within them the promise that life will continue even when the world above is harsh, when lakes dry to dust, when centuries pass unseen. It is both ancestor and descendant, beginning and continuation, a single thread weaving together the vast tapestry of time. It has witnessed epochs come and go, the rise of mountains, the drift of continents, the birth and death of species. Giants have walked, flown, and fallen. Oceans have surged, lakes have vanished, deserts have swallowed lands. Entire worlds have shifted above, yet the tadpole shrimp persists, unchanged and undaunted, its presence a quiet proof of life's resilience. It embodies the art of enduring, the power of waiting, and the simplicity of being in perfect tune with the rhythms of the planet. And so it swims, carrying within it the echoes of the past. Each tiny creature that follows it, each egg laid in the mud, each ripple in the water, continues the story. It is a cycle of life measured not in years, but in patience, in rhythm, in trust. The tadpole shrimp does not need recognition, does not seek reward. Its immortality is inherent, found in the persistence of its species, the enduring work it performs, and the delicate ecosystems it sustains. The lakes themselves remember it. The mud holds the traces of its passage, the water holds the life it nurtures, and the air above carries the soft reflection of its silent dance. Time, though it flows around it endlessly, does not diminish it. Instead, it becomes a companion, a partner in the endless cycle of water, life, dormancy, and rebirth. Through fire, drought, flood, and the passage of unimaginable ages, the tadpole shrimp swims on, eternal, unbroken, patient. To watch it is to see the persistence of life in its purest form. It is to understand that survival is not always about strength, speed, or grandeur. Sometimes, it is about stillness, patience, and harmony with the world around you. The tadpole shrimp, in its quiet ancient wisdom, carries within it the secret of existence itself. Life endures when it flows with the rhythms of the earth, when it waits for the right moment, and when it continues, generation after generation, without haste or complaint. And so, beneath the sun's soft light, beneath clouds that drift lazily across the sky, the tadpole shrimp glides forever. It stirs the sediment, nourishes the unseen, lays eggs of eternity, and carries the legacy of 220 million years within its delicate form. It is small, it is unassuming, it is eternal. It is the eternal swimmer, a living thread connecting past, present, and future, a silent witness to the grandeur of life, and a quiet teacher of the deepest truth of survival. That to endure, one must move with patience, purpose, and harmony through the endless flow of time. And in that endless swim, beneath the lakes of the world, the tadpole shrimp whispers a secret to the universe itself. That life, when attuned to the pulse of the earth, can truly be immortal.